Honorable Halim speaks of the President's consideration and best wishes. Yes, Honorable.
I hereby move a motion urgent public importance on the uprise of cultism in Nigeria. The House notes that cultism in Nigeria dates back to 1952, particularly in the institutions of our higher learning. Informed that it started as fraternities with motives of maintaining law and order on campuses. Further notes that our universities, primary and secondary schools are proper places for education of our youth and children in character and in learning. Further informed that our youth and children have developed a higher concept in learning, both formal and informal knowledge in theory and practical. Aware that secret cultism has become a threat to our higher institutions of learning, it is shocking to hear that even children who are in some primary and secondary schools aged between 8 and 16 years now belong to secret cults. Further aware that the effects of secret cult organizations on our youth and children are greatly in the negative, and concerned that if not tackled, it will continue to eat down into every part of the society with more effects on individuals, families, schools, religious settings, and the society at large. Further concerned that the cultism has propelled high increase on dropout of our students. Informed that the initial original intention of the cult groups was to fight against injustices, but the recent tendencies of most secret cults suggest nothing but evil in the society. Disturbed that this social vice is really eating up the moral and educational standard of our great country, Nigeria. Further disturbed that the death of young people these days, always associated with secret cult activities, has become alarming, as little issues that need settlement end up triggering a lot of calamities. The House resolves to urge the federal government of Nigeria, states, and university authorities to set up anti-cultism vanguard to tackle the menace of secret cults in Nigeria. Urge our security agencies to work closely with local security vigilante groups to share and exchange information that can lead to more arrest and prosecution of cult members. I so move.
The ayes have it.
Well, you know, the issue of cultism is actually prevalent among us today in Nigeria. Everybody has been affected by this problem in one way or the other. I felt that having gone through the 2019 general election and seeing the use of cult boys, thugs, cultists, all kinds of really bad people were deployed in different polling units by different political parties and politicians. It hit me then that we really needed to start to address this issue all over again, to revisit this issue. In my constituency particularly, there's a boy that was going about his normal business. I think in the evening he went to buy bread, and he ran into rival gangs and he was shot dead. In fact, we participated in the burial, and after that, at that burial, it hit me hard that we needed to bring this to the national conversation, to the table, for us to take a look at it again and see if, as lawmakers, there's something that we're not doing right to address the scourge of cultism in Nigeria. For me, the issue of security, we need to go to a preventative mode. Right now, we react. Of course, we are all sitting ducks. Last week, about 10 days ago, even the National Assembly was breached security-wise. And if we go into a mode of preventing some of these things, it will call for intelligence. It will call for people to get informal channels of getting information before things happen. The same thing with cultism. If you've not been affected by cultism, you've been affected by kidnapping, if not by armed robbery, if not by terrorism. All of these things start from somewhere. And today, we think that this is the root from now, primary school, secondary school, universities. Of course, we have also seen that we have cults outside of the higher institutions, even in the societies, in the villages and the communities, among artisans, among groups of people who are informally otherwise engaged. For me, this security summit is overdue, and the focus should be on using intelligence to gather information to stop some of these things before they happen. Cultism didn't start today. It started in the early 1950s, and this is the result. If we want to get a better result in another 50 years, we need to start another movement that will give us those positive results. Some of us will not live to see it, but we need to, it needs to be on record that in our time, we spoke up against this and we did take action that will benefit us. To be honest, I don't know much about cultism. I've never been a cult member. In my university days, I never joined any cult. But I've seen the result in our society. I've seen deaths in our society. I've seen families displaced. I've seen a lot of atrocities that are directly linked. And if you listen to the contribution of the minority leader, where he said that even in the schools, the boys are being recruited, you know that obviously it is something that is widespread. Somebody even told me today, after the motion, that even among women now, that there are women cult groups and all kinds of things, you see. And somebody was trying to differentiate between an occult and a cult group, all from this motion. The truth of the matter is that whichever way you look at it, something needs to be done. And that's what this motion is about. Let's start to have these conversations that will lead us to take positive actions that will change the narrative. I think the security agencies, there's a lot more they can be doing. I know it's tough to take a look at security in a country like Nigeria, but I don't think Nigeria is the most security challenged country in the world. I think there are other countries that have equal amount of security challenge, if not higher, but they have somehow maintained an equilibrium. And again, it takes me back to the offline channels to get information. Security is moving from boots on ground, men on ground, to intelligence, and we must start to get towards that mode of getting intelligence, getting information, and sharing. So I do believe that we need to keep this conversation going. Then on the second part of your question, I don't think we will have any magic wand that we can wave and cultism would disappear in Nigeria overnight. However, just like cultism didn't appear overnight, there are things that made it or made us get to where we are today. There are also steps that we need to take that will take us away from it. So, and therefore, in some of the resolutions, we're calling for advocacy. It's an advocacy motion, really. We need to start to plant the seed, water the seed, catch them young, like one of our colleagues was saying, start young to indoctrinate our people or teach them the difference between right and wrong, and make sure that we follow through with the children, because we know that these are going to be the leaders of tomorrow. It's something that if you are looking for a quick fix, you will not find, but it's also something that you don't fold your hands and hope that it will, wish it away. No, it's something that we all need to have this collaborative effort. I think the next security summit will be very interesting in Nigeria, because a whole different set of challenges security-wise has come to hit the country in different parts. We have terrorism like we've never had it before. I never believed we would get suicide bombers coming from Nigeria when I was growing up, but we have them today. Somebody said to me that it's like security is the number one problem of Nigeria today. I said, how? He said, if you solve security, some of the other problems that we have will start to disappear. There are a lot of conversations around this whole issue. I hope that we will be able to get some results in a short while.